Hello, everybody. It's the Worm, and I'm back for Raging Loop, and I am excited. I'm very excited, and I hope you're all excited too, because now I believe is the time. Now is the time when we are going to have our wolf meeting. It's going to happen, and we're going to see how Haruaki leads this team, because I'm quite sure Haruaki is going to be leading this team. And I also don't have to spend half the episode trying to strategize. Um, do I have any comments, though? I think I could just do a couple comments. I think a couple people mentioned the old man last time. Not last time, but the time before last time. He does seem to actually be participating now, which is on top of everything else. I don't even know how to understand that. So I guess we'll just have to see what happens with that. Um, and yeah, so we had a lot of people were talking in the comments about what they would want to do and everything of that nature, and that was all great. But I still think I want to. If I have a choice, which I would assume we do, considering last time when we were the snake we had a choice, is if Takumi does come up, I think I'm going to pick him. Now, of course, this all depends on Haruaki, because we need to have him, because it's ultimately going to be his. Which set of people we get to choose is going to be decided by him. I would be very surprised if we got all what is it now, 15 people or something. I think the largest amount we've ever got was what, 5 or 6 as the snake. So I guess we'll see. I'd be somewhat impressed if that were the case, if we got all 15 or so people to select, but I doubt that's going to happen. So let's see. And oh yes, we're going to be. Um, I can't remember which comment it was, but someone was talking about how. Well, in general, it was basically talking about how Haru and Kaori were gonna be reacting to potentially killing their relatives. Kanzo for Haru and Kaori obviously for Yoshitsugu and Yasunaga. So we're going to be looking very closely at how they feel about that, because that should tell us a lot about how this whole becoming a wolf thing really works. I feel, because if it is just the story, then yeah. Okay, let's get into it. Let's not stall anymore. Time passed by as everyone chatted, ate a larger dinner than ever before, chatted a bit more, then split up. The only notable thing was the moment when Mamiya-san tried to ask Kanzo-san about the previous feast. Yeah. Hashimoto-san stopped her, though. Okay, yeah, so last time we did learn that Hashimoto is basically fulfilling Haruaki's role last time. And by role, I don't mean guardian or something, but basically the way Haruaki has been as a looper, and just as he kind of is personality wise, he can be a bit manipulative. Um, I should say he has been manipulative, and as I just said, I think that's a combination of both this looping phenomenon and his just natural personality. We see into his thoughts, and we can see that he's not always genuine. He's putting up a mask for when he's talking to these people. And so he seems to see this behavior from Hashimoto and is coming to the conclusion that he is acting like he would, which is quite something. So, yes, he will definitely be one to watch. I noticed Haru-chan making a face, and a part of me was relieved by that. The previous feast took her parents, and it was the time she went into the mist and lived to tell the tale. It had been. It. 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 It'd have to. It'd have been bad. It would have been bad if she'd gone crazy again. It'd. I'm not sure why my brain is blanking on that. It'd have been bad. I would say something like, it would have to have been. It would have to have been bad if she'd gone crazy again. Or is that just redundant? That might just be redundant. It'd have been bad if she'd gone crazy again. I understand what he's saying. Sorry, that didn't click for me. Hashimoto-san seemed to have noticed that possibility, so he'd stopped Mamiya-san to prevent it. Was it really good to help him survive? A part of me actually believed that. Sure, without him, I'd have been a human and survived the feast, but it didn't solve anything. Becoming a wolf and making an enemy out of him was just an unfortunate side effect that came with letting him live, and I just had to accept that. After dinner, right when everyone was preparing to split up, Hashimoto-san whispered something to Takumi-san. Takumi-san's expression suddenly turned serious.
Minna, chotto ii ka?
Apparently, Hashimoto-san had told him that he should say something, and Takumi-san did exactly that.
今日、俺たちは誰もくくらなかった。だから、この中に狼がいるとしても、今夜誰も殺さないことを俺は期待したい。そうすれば明日もくくらないで済む。
ありえん。
ああ、そうかもしれねえ。そうなったら、この中の誰かには明日の朝、もう会えねえことになる。これで、お別れになる。そのことは肝に銘じて、悔いのないよう、言いたいことは言っておけよ。
Wow. Is this something Hashimoto told him to say, or is this coming from Takumi naturally? The bright mood suddenly changed. In a way, I could see this being something Hashimoto-san told him to say as a way to try and maybe dissuade the wolves from killing. But, yeah. The mood turned heavy as everyone exchanged handshakes and gave their thanks to each other. Chemi, Haru-chan, even Yoshitsugu-kun became teary-eyed as Kaori-san said these words to her sons. If I'm gone tomorrow, live strong, you two. She was a wolf, but her words were so honest that they both listened without a word. The village heads here seemed lonely, giving Tai-san and Takumi-san fuel for doubt, while Mochi talked to the old wolf guy. It was a moment when their relationships became very clear.
おじいちゃん、
One particularly impactful moment was when Haru-chan approached her lonely-looking grandfather. Her eyes were still red from her goodbyes to Yasunaga-kun and Mochi.
おじいちゃん、もし私が明日起きてこなかったら。
そんなことは起きん。
For a moment, it looked like he knew what she was, but then...
嘘。狼は必ず殺すって言ってたじゃん。おじいちゃんは春にだけ嘘をつく。優しくしてるつもり？
Kanzo-san didn't know how to respond. A rarity for him.
そういうのいいから聞いて。私が死んだら、私が死んでもお酒とか飲みすぎないようにしてね。
春。
Kanzo-san slowly extended his hand to her, but it was too late. Haru-chan had already turned around. A grandfather and granddaughter, both awkward beyond belief. After watching their exchange, I was actually relieved that Haru-chan didn't say anything she shouldn't have, which made me question my own humanity again. Yasunaga-kun must have been in a similar state of mind the first time. Feeling sympathy for the first wolf I'd encountered, I gave Chemi, who'd approached to give her goodbyes to me, some half-hearted nice words. I'd done the same for Rokako-san, who'd finished the exchange with a silent but resolute farewell.
昼間のことは許してあげるから。
もし明日会えなくてもわだかまりはなしかい？
うん。
That was that with Haru-chan. The disgrace on my name was cleared, and she now neither disliked me or liked me.
時間取らせてすまねえな。それじゃあみんな、おやすみ。
I wonder what the intention was with making the outside look red during that scene. Well, I guess just late in the day. No, but there's mist, right? So you wouldn't see that? I don't know. Takumi-san nonchalantly concluded the event. Everyone silently began leaving the dining hall.
うさいしさんも戻ってください。
Oh, we will. In one way, if not the other. We were done with the after-dinner cleanup, so I had no reason to stay behind. I didn't sense anyone in the mist, but that was just because I didn't sense anyone in the mist, but that was just because... I'm mixing up the words here. I didn't sense anyone in the mist, but that was because I just couldn't, not because there was no one there. Everyone was probably using this as a chance to have the secret talks they couldn't, or just silently listening for those. It was probably a good idea to thank him. I heard someone's voices near the stairs to the dorm. Mamiya-san was talking to Hashimoto-san right where she'd died last time.
どのくらい本気です？
少なくとも僕ら以外は皆本気だと思う。ということは怪しまれたら殺されるわけだ。
Aha, now we are the listeners this time.
ジャーナリストならみんな知ってる。この世で一番怖いのは人間だよ。
ええ、オカルト絡みでも本当に人が死んだ証拠があるのは人が殺した場合だけですからね。
すみません。
I considered eavesdropping, but it'd have been bad if they noticed, so I called out.
ふさわしく？びっくりした。
Didn't want to drop any eaves, I see.
すみません。橋本さん、昼の時はありがとうございます。
何かやったかな。
あのままだとなし崩し的に僕が殺されていたかもしれませんから。
ああ、はっはっは。まあ君が殺されたら次は僕らってことになりそうだったしね。
It's good to think about. It's a good thing to take note of. If we can somehow get Haruaki off the list, or, you know, prevent him from being the target, then yeah, I suppose the other outsiders could be targets next.
確かに。でも本当助かりました。
いやいや、君には霧が出るところをちょうど助けてもらった恩もあるし、なんならこれでチャラにしようじゃないか。
わかりました。しかし本当に夜出歩いたらまずいのでしょうか。夜の間に抜け出すとかは。
Ooh. Is this what I think it is?
さっき私が言ったわ。
Oh, Hashimoto's gonna shoot that down though, huh?
やめておいた方がいいね。こんなノームは僕も経験したことがない。
That would be such a
夜
good
の
play.
山じゃ遭難しかねない。低い山でも危険だ。
Sorry, Mr. Hashimoto. He has a bit of the same problem Rokako has, where he kind of pauses between his statements, so it's kind of hard to know when to speak. Anyway, that what Haruaki did there basically, attempting to get a few free corruption kills. Definitely, I applaud the attempt there, Haruaki, but Hashimoto's not going to let us get away with that.
それに村の皆さんがそれを絶対的な禁忌と感じている以上、霧よりも彼らの方が危険かもしれない。
彼らが襲ってくると？
いやいやそんなことはないと思うよ。ただ信じる心というのは幻を見せることも多々ある。信じる人に囲まれれば僕らもやがてその中に入ってしまう。
It's an interesting thing to say.
そんな中では努めて別のことを考えて気を紛らわせるのが最上っていうのが僕の経験則でね。
Those were some meaningful words.
橋本さんは伝説云々を信じてはいないんですね。
信じる信じないは考えていないよ。それは身の安全が確保されてから専門家が考える。ね、Q ちゃん。
どうでしょうね。記事にできそうな気はしないですけど。
僕はただ穏やかにここから離れられればそれに越したことはないんだ。
なるほど。そうなるといいですね。
That was the end. I bid them good night and went on my own way. Okay. I hadn't met anyone else on my way back to the prefab. Yoshitsuku-kun didn't invite me to go out at night, and neither Chiemi nor Rikako visited to have a talk. They were probably satisfied with the goodbyes in the dining hall. Everyone used to struggle at this time because they hadn't felt like they'd done everything they had to. This time was different, though. Everyone was calmly waiting for the wolves to strike, fully ready for it. The humans were in the perfect mental state. There was nothing for them to worry about. And it was all because of Hashimoto-san. Then there was the exchange just now.
ああ、ははは。まあ、君が殺されたら、次は僕らってことになりそうだったしね。
To me, that sounded like I didn't do it for your sake. Ooh.
いやいや、君には霧が出るところをちょうど助けてもらった恩もあるし、なんならこれでチャラにしようじゃないか。
And that was like, you sure helped us at a strange time, huh? He seemed reasonably suspicious of me. Was I just overthinking it? No, that would be overly optimistic. It was clear to me that he'd made it past the first day better than anyone so far, even myself. If he was that talented, he must have already analyzed the situation and noticed that something was strange. They happened to have their tires burst, then be given rooms, and gotten caught up in the feast. It was clearly orchestrated, and I was the only one who stood out as a suspect. I'd been chosen by a village head, joined them in their van, and actually gave them a place to sleep. The situation was made even worse by the fact that they were right, and that I was a wolf. Since I couldn't mention the looping, I couldn't really say that I was their savior. Not only that, but he was the monkey. He'd secured a good role and relationship with the others, and had a surprisingly keen eye and mind. He'd have been an extremely reliable ally. I'd really appreciated it when he presented the idea that we shouldn't hang anyone today. After all, at that moment, just like Kanzo-san, I'd thought that not hanging anyone was foolish. Thus, I thought he was foolish too. But now, because of his idea, everyone became somewhat ready to accept someone's death, and to unify to defeat the wolves responsible. He had also succeeded in preventing the liching away smoother than I could. I could only create a stalemate, while he actually talked people into voting for or against hanging. Kanzo-san didn't want to look like he broke, so he hadn't changed his opinion, but he was still pretty accepting of the idea to not hang anyone. Hashimoto-san did it with great finesse, and it was something I couldn't do. We'd eventually find out if it was a good thing or not, or rather, they'd decide based on what we wolves did today. However, I'd already felt like I was falling behind him. Would I really have to defeat him? There was Mamiya-san, too. She was way more stable and smart than last time. The way she'd pointed out Shinai was probably Okami, or Great God, showed that she would be extremely useful for finding out the truth. She'd also noticed and mentioned the badger without my help. She'd probably noticed it last time, too, but hadn't mentioned it because she was a wolf. This time, with Hashimoto-san's suggestion, they'd decided that they would hang all liars, regardless if they were wolves or the badger. That was a smart move. It kept the humans from lying just for the sake of it, and countered the badger whether it existed or not. Countered. They were a pretty balanced pair. Mamiya-san was blunt and straightforward, while Hashimoto-san gently reproved her and provided only the best solutions. They were a much better team than I'd expected, and the fact that they were enemies was pretty bad for us. As a wolf, I had to consider the other humans too, especially the Oribe brothers. After all, their mother, the demon who tried to kill everyone and swallowed her last words for their sake, was a wolf this time. If I didn't go about this the right way, I would be the one to die. Haru-chan probably wouldn't want to kill Yasunaga or Mochi either. Okay, so we're getting into this discussion now. Kanzo-san was her family too, but I wasn't sure about their relationship. Still, I didn't think she'd want to kill him. And finally, could I really kill Chiemi and Rokako-san? Though it was all made void by the looping, they liked me, and I liked them. Would I really whisper sweet nothings to them during the day, only to kill them at night? I didn't want to do that. That thought was my last before my consciousness faded.
Eh?
I jumped up, throwing the blanket to the side. Why was I asleep? Didn't I have something to do as a wolf? I could feel myself turn pale as I realized I just made a huge mistake. But the next moment I noticed something that terrified me in a whole different way. There was something next to my legs. Unable to understand what was what, I let fear take control and pathetically backed away. Nothing was happening. I reached into my bag, took out a flashlight I got from the convenience store, and turned it on. What the hell was all this? It looked like the parts of a costume? Particularly the kind used in action hero shows. No, that didn't seem right either. It was like some kind of traditional ritual clothing. Bracers, tabi, straw zori, a faded kimono, and a hakama. All of it smelled awful, like half-dried laundry being boiled. There was something that stood out more than the rest. It was a kimono underskirt with some blurry sutra-like text on it. There was another piece of cloth with similar text on it, and it was connected to something weird. Oh, was this a mask?
我ら老面を授くれば必ずこうぶりて急ぐべし
So this is what they were talking about. Right. That thing had told us to wear this. We were supposed to put this on and cleanse ourselves? The bad smell made me really apprehensive. Didn't they have the order wrong? Didn't cleansing come up before putting on the sacred clothing? That reminded me that I hadn't cleansed myself before sleeping. Wasn't that bad? Remembering the situation, I checked the time again. The phone I charged with a battery showed that it was 10 o'clock. Huh, Great Lord Shanai had momentarily put me to sleep to bring this thing here. What if I hadn't woken up? Man, were they treading a fine line here? That aside, I was basically being told to put this on and go outside. I gathered my resolve. Wow. Okay, so don't tell me. Do you think it's going to be the case? Do you remember in the very beginning, not the very beginning, when we first came to the village and we went into the outhouse? It was the first time we'd ever seen the mist. We went to the outhouse and then we walked outside the outhouse and we saw a wolf, a big wolf, okay? Don't tell me it's going to be something like, oh, our vision was obscured by the mist and the big wolf was actually just a guy in this costume. Because the thing we saw was, you know, it was a big hairy thing. I mean, the hair is here, but... that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking right now. I do think it could potentially be the case that maybe the giant wolf we saw the first time might have just been a guy in this outfit. Was this good enough? Though the lighting here was poor, there were fewer pieces than I thought, so I could put it on without much trouble. It was unexpectedly well designed, and from what I could tell, it was hand-sewn. The mane... Did wolves even have those? It seemed to be made of rice straw. It didn't seem cheap at all, and though I couldn't be sure, it seemed to be designed to look divinely imposing. You know, you could probably even make the suggestion that the 3 wolves we saw during that night, maybe they were wearing these. Just the other night in this route here. The mask seemed to be a wooden carving with insane amounts of detailed work put into it. A true masterpiece. By the time I put it on, I didn't care so much about the smell. It wasn't hard to move in or anything. The inscribed cloth at the bottom was connected to the belt. I put it on like it was a traditional grass skirt, and it wasn't a big hindrance for running or anything else. The cloth connected to the mask hid the face like some kind of stagehand's clothing, and I could only see a head through the gaps in between. The wolf-like mask was simply resting on my forehead. As I put it all on, I found a bucket and a ladle among the items. It was full of water, and I knew I had to cleanse myself with this. I was a bit apprehensive about this, but I took some water and poured it on my head. It jumped off the rice straws, making my shoulders wet and spreading across the area. Was I doing it right? I was still worried, but putting it on was meaningless. But just putting it on was meaningless, so I put my hand on the door and sensed something bad outside. It wasn't anything vague like bloodlust or evil mojo. It was sounds I could actually hear. I heard grass being parted. I heard the sounds of something walking through the sand. Shallow breathing, low growls, distant roars full of malice. It reminded me of the time I was locked in the outhouse and I sensed something bestial outside. This was exactly the same as last time. There was something outside. Lots of them, in fact. Last time, I'd only survived because I held the door shut when something was about to open it. And I had to go outside this time? I'd be okay just because I was wearing this? No way. It seemed like a sick joke. Oh, but I really wanted to see it. What a familiar sensation. Just then the doorknob clattered.
妻子さん 起きてるの？
I still heard beasts outside, but the voice clearly belonged to a girl, Haru Makashima.
ハルちゃん、
気安く呼ばないでくださいよ。
安全なの？
ちゃんと路面つけて、みそぎしてれば。
Was she telling the truth? Was it really her outside? Even if it was some sort of illusion, if I didn't open, my presence in this flow of events would be pointless. I fired myself up and unlocked the door.
うわ、
The moment I opened the door, I saw a short wolf that scared the hell out of me.
うるさいなあ。
ハルちゃんで間違いない？
そうですよ。ほら、
She moved the cloth covering her face, and sure enough, it was Haru-chan. She was clad in a wolf outfit and had the bucket and ladle in her hands.
あなたもそれ、持たなきゃ。
How do you know this?
これ持ち運ぶの？
うん。常に巻かないと。
She took some from her bucket and spread it behind her. This action was followed by squealing sounds. I felt something squirm and run off.
何がいるの？
汚れの運び手。
The bringers of corruption, eh? Okay. She spread some more water. This time on me.
冷た、何すんの？あ！
She repeated it a couple times with great intensity to boot.
何って、全然みそぎしてないじゃないですか。
そんなに全身びしょびしょにならないとまずいの？
As if she felt that explaining it was pointless, she just touched the cloth near her waist. Sure enough, it was completely wet.
一つ聞いていいかな？
何？
それが正しいやり方だとして、なぜそれを知ってる？
Yeah.
なぜかな。わかる。
何か隠してない？
隠してないですよ。
同じ狼なら隠し事は？
何が不安なの？
Those words shut me up.
まあ、気持ちはわかるけど、私はもう落ち着いたから、あなたもすぐ慣れるよ。と、思いますよ。
So what do you think, guys? Do you think divine inspiration? Or she got that knowledge when she walked into the mist during the previous feast those years ago? Because I think it has to be one of those two.
わかった。
I wasn't satisfied, but I backed down anyway.
ところでデスマス言葉、慣れてないなら普通でいいよ。
慣れ慣れしくしないでください。行きましょう。香織さん、待ってるし。
Yeah, the chasm between us was wide. Or maybe Chiemi and Rikako-san were just too easy. Okay, we can go a bit longer. Apparently, Haru-chan had walked through the mist without any light. I took out my small flashlight
何それ？かっこいい。
and was met with a weird reaction.
あげるよ。一応、二つあるし。
I'd prepared them in case I ended up running away with someone at night. I sure as hell hadn't expected to be a wolf, though.
嘘。いいの？
We did it, Haruak, and we found the way to get in good with Haru. Technology.
うん。暗いと危ない。ちなみにどうやって来たの？
安水の道なんて覚えてるし。
Made sense. It was dangerous regardless, though, so I just gave her one and showed her how to use it.
ただ、みんなにバレないようにね。夜出歩いてるなんてバレたら大変だ。
Yeah, now I'm just thinking... Well, everyone else should be supernaturally asleep, right? But for some reason I just had a premonition of someone be like, oh yeah, there were these strange lights at night, you know?
そうですね。わかった。
She spread some water again, then put the ladle back and took the flashlight.
代わりに時々撒いてください。
So we didn't get any description of what these bringers of corruption were, but apparently they're... Haruaki definitely heard them squirming, right? Huh. She led me through a dark path. I could barely see anything, but I did sense something bestial in the darkness. It was clearly hostile toward us, and several of them were surrounding us from a distance. However, they didn't come any closer. They also backed away if I spread some water. A flashlight could barely make it through the mist, so it didn't help to see anything in the distance. It was pretty useless, to be honest, but Haru-chan seemed to like it. She also swung it around like a sword, or rather, a lightsaber. What were these bringers of corruption, anyway? Actual Japanese wolves, perhaps? Every now and then I saw their eyes light up in the mist. Besides that, I also heard growls and the sounds of something stepping in the sand. Dogs, right? That had to be it. Yasumizu was completely full of dogs right now. That expression made it seem adorable, but seriously? No way. If my assumption was right, this situation was way scarier than some simple supernatural phenomenon. I continued spreading the water, too much of it, all the way there.
房石さん
Here we go. I believe it is time. A wolf with the same stature as Kaori-san stood up from the chair in the dining hall. It was very surreal.
房石です。香織さんですよね。
ええ、ちょっと心配したわ。
もう着替えてて出るところだったみたい。
差し支えなかった？
ええ、なんとか。香織さんも段取りはご承知だったのですか？
ええ、どうしてか分かっていたわ。
Interesting. If it were just Haru, then you could go back to my idea, either divine inspiration, because she's connected with this god figure, or because she walked in, in the middle of the last feast. But the fact that Kaori just knows as well. But we don't. That's interesting.
不思議だけど、あの時、新内様にそう伺ってから。
Is it just because we're an outsider then?
あれ、3人いましたよね。新内様って3人いるんですか？
それはよくわからないけれど。
昼、記者の人が言ってたでしょ？新内様は狼様だって。だから3人いたんじゃないんですか？私らは狼様から直接加護を授かったってこと。
それで君らは納得するんだ。
だって見たじゃないですか。
Right. That strange experience did actually seem supernatural. People tended to accept anything they could see.
では、行きましょうか。
I think we should talk about a plan first.
え、どこにです？
殺しに。
Uh-oh. Wait. What?
香織さん、誰殺すか決めないと。
ああ、そうだったわ。つい気が流行っちゃって。
今日の宴の感じ見たら、やっぱおじいちゃんじゃないかな。
匠さんも危ないと思うわ。
I wish I could say it feels good that Kaori agrees, but considering her demeanor, it actually doesn't feel all that great.
待ってください。2人とも本気ですか？
Be careful, Haruaki. I don't think these two are in their right mind, so to speak.
何が？
肉親を殺すんだぞ。あんた、息子のことが惜しくないのか？
She twitched and tilted in an unnatural way.
死
ないわけがないでしょ。でも仕方ないじゃない。信内様の言う通りにしなきゃ。
香織さん。
君もだ、ハルちゃん。安永君やモッチーのことを殺していいのか？
それは嫌だけど。じゃあどうすればいいのよ。3人で逃げ出すとでも？
That really wasn't the way to go. We'd get lost or killed by the monsters. The mist would just send me back to square one. All I could do here was pick one or the other. Oh, really? Really? We're just doing this, huh? I'm gonna be honest. I would have thought there would be a bit more planning to it, but well, maybe if we pick Massacre, we'll go into the plan. This has to be a bad end, right? This just corruption gets us. That just has to be the case. Or Kaori and Haru kill us, or something. I guess that answers the question. Let me find out. Hang on. I should be able to find it real quick. Let's see. Connor Heron was the one who said it. Basically, how would these two react to, killing? And it's what Haruaki was wondering, and I was wondering it too. And it looks like the answer is maybe they don't really want to, and yet they have this mindset that, well, they have to. Now, is it just because... Well, this can't be it. I was about to say, is it just because they would die if they didn't kill? But I honestly believe Kaori would die to save her sons, right? I honestly believe that. So there has to be more to it than just self-preservation. Is it really just indoctrination? Like, if they are convinced Shinai-sama said it, they have to do it? I want to say there's still something more, even now. The fact that these two, Haru and Kaori, seem to be getting information that we're not. This is definitely leaning into the supernatural here, but it makes me think they're connected to something in the way that we're not, and so we're not being compelled like they are, Okay, I think I'm going to leave it here tonight. Yeah, I think I will. Next time I may do the kill no one first, just because I think that's a bad end, so I think we'd just get that one out of the way. But yeah, let me know how you guys are all doing here. Definitely, this is not a feel-good route so far. I feel very tense, so I'm not sure if you guys are all as well, but we'll get through it one way or another. I've been The Worm, and this has been Rage Loop. Hope to see you next time.